Well, in 25 years now, I've never seen a business school case from any of the B schools that showed owner finance. Never. And we all know owner finance has been around from, I say Cain and Abel and a long time. I don't know, Cain, before, is it Cain that killed Abel?
Right.
Okay, before he hit him upside the fucking head, I don't know if they were doing a deal over some piece of property, but the point is that you have really, it's not just an extra tool, you have the tool, and in collapsing markets, owner finance is paramount because it's the thing that you really have control over. You may not be able to, banks change their covenants and they do this, do that, etc. But you can control the situation with owner finance because you bring a whole new spectrum to the investment continuum with owner finance. And 100%, and the only downside, as I said it countless times now, the only downside with 100% owner finance is paying fees to lawyers and accountants and paying yourself a few shekels. And then, of course, then you refinance. It is not the foundation of our program, but it is one of the pillars, for sure, overfinanced. Why? Because you're all fucking bust broke, for the most part, and you need some money in your pockets. And why did I come up with this? Because I was fucking flat broke when I first did it. And in the infamous words of Bruce the Whipple, if you don't fucking ask, you don't fucking get. If you don't ask, you don't get. And overfinancing is such a norm to me. I mean, I don't even think about it, really. Other than when you cry in your, and I can see the tears on your weekly reports. the two banks told me, they don't say it this way, to go fuck my job. Oh, nobody overfinances. And I can see the tears marks. And some of you cry blood. I can see the blood marks on your weekly reports. But it is a fundamental given right that you can overfinance. There is no fucking law, any place, that says that overfinancing is not legitimate. Now, how much you overfinance is another question. What's his name? Frank did a 400% overfinance. Now I think that's the biggest stretch I've seen since the program in 25 years. 4 times the purchase price overfinanced. But he bought it cheap. He got a dynamite deal. Otherwise, you can't overfinance him. And normally when you ask for more than 20 or 25% overfinance, it could be maybe not a red flag, but an amber flag to them. But this kid did 130 the first one, and here, take one and pass it around. So when you go back there, and for those of you that have been in the business and done deals before, and it sounds foreign, well, it is foreign to everybody else except us. Everybody else except us. But it's absolutely doable. But again, if you don't ask, you don't get. So you got to ask. Now, I demand. And as you get comfortable, you'll demand. But you can demand from the beginning in a nice professional way, not necessarily how I might do it, which is considered maybe less than professional because I get, or I can get aggressive. The only drawback, and it's not worth not doing it, but the only drawback for owner finance is as follows. Sometimes you're not able to owner finance in an overfinance way so you can pay your accountants and your lawyers and take out money. If it's 100% owner finance, a good portion of the time you're not going to be able to pull out money. A good portion of the time you're not even going to be able to pay your accountants and your lawyers. Now, if you explain to your accountants and lawyers properly and you follow the fucking script, roll fees, but you'll get paid out of the second deal or the third deal, they'll understand. But if you don't explain it to them correctly, they'll get nervous and they'll send you an invoice. But that's the only problem. And we haven't got there yet. But we want to overfinance between 10 and 20%. We buy something for $1 million, we want to finance it for $1.2 million. What percent? 20%. 10 and 20%. So we want extra $200,000. What do we want for the $200,000? 1, to pay the accountants and the lawyers. 2, to put money up for ourselves. Now, if it comes down paying the accountants and the lawyers or paying us, you pay the accountants and lawyers first. And then you pay us. And if it comes down to, let's say you have $100,000 extra, and by the way, you're calling the overfinance working capital, and we'll talk more about that. We have $100,000 extra, and let's say that we have 5 members on the board. You'll take maybe $25,000 and you split $75,000 amongst the other board members. Now, sometimes you'll be so tight that you won't be able to take money out for yourself. I know this is a strange concept. You're just going to pay the board members and not you. And you're just going to continue eating at Taco Bell for one deal more. You will gain more credibility with your board members for not taking money. I don't take money when I'm chairman that often on the distributions, unless it's a big distribution. I don't. I say split it amongst the other board members. Because, 20 grand, I see ants fuck. It's not that big a deal to me. And so, but I know paying him an extra 15 is a big deal. Or paying him an extra 10 is a big deal. And yes, are we buying our loyalty? Yeah. But at least the next time you're going to have the loyalty. But fees to the professionals first, then distribution to the board members and an overfinance. If it gets tight, the distribution to all the board members but yourself. And that's a hard call to make because, when you had your second notice for 2 months behind in your house, that's not an easy call to make. But it's the right call. There is no final cutoff. There's the deal, there's a pencil. They used to say that, I don't know if that still means the same. There's a deal pencil. In other words, is there enough cash flow to cover debt service when you stretch it out? So I've seen guys pay twice asking price. And it depends where in their risk evaluation is this asset. If this is the only fucking thing they own and they're trying to retire off it, they're going to think about it differently than if this is one of 20 or 30 investments and whether they get the deal closed or not. We would rather have somebody that they're looking to this asset to complete their retirement program. Then they're more motivated. When you've got 25 different investments in your portfolio, this is just one.